Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What have you told Stryker?
Everything.
The war has begun.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. My name is Andrew. I'm with you through till about 9 o'clock this evening if you're listening to us live on Spreaker. With me as always is Stuart, my co-host for this part of the show.
I thought you weren't going to say that I was here. Yeah, I thought you were just going to leave me out and I was going to have a little cry in the corner.
I wouldn't leave you hanging. He'll be taking over. You'll be taking over in the DVD section in the second part of the show, but in the first part of the show we'll go through some movie news, the UK box office top 10 and reviews of these new cinema releases.
Action thriller starring Colin Farrell and Dead Man Down, and from the writers of The Hangover, which I'm reviewing, 21 and over. So that should be fun.
Yeah, so be prepared to turn down your speakers for a rant, I suspect.
I did give a slight warning on Twitter that there is a film that I will be doing a bit of a rant about tonight. That might be it. There might be one in the DVD section as well.
Okay, let's go straight on into some movie news. I'll go through mine first. Starting off with Christopher Nolan is lining up a all-star cast to appear in his next movie, which aside from the title Interstellar, very little was known about. Michael Caine is confirmed as being added to the cast, and Jessica Chastain is in talks to be appearing this week. They will also be joining Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. The movie, which is based on a script by his brother Jonathan Nolan, is described as being a heroic interstellar voyage to the farthest borders of our scientific understanding.
Oh, sounds deep.
Well, I mean, it's if you take some of the sort of the meta idea that there is in Inception and apply it to a space story, you know, you might end up getting some kind of thing like that. It'd probably be, I hope it'll be sort of more his sort of thing than, say, if he'd done, for example, Prometheus. I don't think that would have worked with him, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I guess we'll see when we get the first footage out and look at it and go, wow, that looks amazing. I have no idea what it's about. Entertainment Weekly confirmed this week that the fourth Men in Black movie is happening. Unfortunately, Sony Pictures has begun development on the sequel with Oren Uziel, writer of the upcoming remake of Mortal Kombat, to hire to actually be writing the script of this, as well as he's going to be a busy man because he's writing the script for the sequel to 21 Jump Street. It's not yet known whether either Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones will reprise their roles.
Bit of a mixture, that, isn't it? Mortal Kombat, 21 Jump Street, the sequel, and Men in Black 4.
Yeah,
interesting mixture there, isn't it?
It's an interesting mix of not only stories but also different types. I mean, you've got an action film, you've got a comedy, and you've got a science fiction sort of thing. So he's given himself a bit of a challenge there, having to write three different genres. And my final piece of news is that Iron Man 3 has come close to rivaling the Avengers as having the most successful opening weekend at the US box office ever. The movie grossed $175 million at the US box office in only 3 days, shortly behind the Avengers' $207 million. This takes the worldwide takings of the movie so far to well over the $500 million mark, around $680 million in total.
Which is an insane amount of money.
Yeah, and that's only been open now for 2 weeks, maybe a bit longer than that, a couple of days or so in other places. So it's taken that much, and this whole thing of Robert Downey Jr. supposedly negotiating to appear in further films, I think he'll get pretty much signed on for whatever he wants because it's done that well. The pull is there for the audiences. I don't think that Marvel's going to see that as a thing of, no, we'll be tight with it.
Yeah, well... maybe. Right, my news stories.
Yeah.
Well, one quick news story which I haven't got written down because I always write all my news stories written down. And I was surprised that you haven't gone with this, but Kelsey Grammer has been cast as the bad guy in Transformers 4.
I was trying to avoid Transformers altogether. I just really was trying to avoid
But it's just interesting getting Kelsey Grammer to play a bad guy in a big movie. Well, I wouldn't say big movie, but a movie like Transformers. So he will play Harold Attinger, who's an intelligent officer, who will be cast alongside Mark Wahlberg, Stanley Tucci, and Jack Rayner. It's an interesting mix. That Jack Rayner was in What Richard Did, a film I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. So it's an interesting cast, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is though, it's still Michael Bay as he does films now. Michael Bay as he did films like 10 years ago is the Michael Bay that I want to be seeing his films, not the Michael Bay that's doing films now.
Yeah, the only reason why I brought up the Transformers story as well is because my first proper piece of news story is a Michael Bay story.
Oh.
Yeah, in a silly piece of news, Michael Bay has told the Daily Beast that sex toys were stolen from the set of Pain and Gain. Bay said, "We bought $75,000 worth of sex toys to stock the sex toy warehouse." He said, "I could have filmed the crew coming in that day because they'd stop and see these things, atomically correct vajagias." He actually did say vajagias. And this butt everyone would touch, the butt because it felt real. Bay was planning to return the toys to get some money back.
That ain't gonna happen. I wonder if that happens often in sex shops. Yeah, I'd like to return this.
Yeah, it doesn't vibrate properly.
And if they actually accept returns or not.
Yeah, I think we should better move on, considering that the just the hole we would dig ourselves there, and considering that we don't swear or anything like that. This could turn into the most smuttiest episode of the show ever.
Yeah.
According to Deadline, Luke Evans, who was in The Hobbit, The Raven, and the upcoming Fast and Furious 6, has been cast as the Crow in the upcoming remake. Evans was first choice by Relativity Media for the lead role and have now moved the shooting of the film to early 2014 to fit his scheduling.
I don't have anything against him. I've not really seen him in much apart from Immortals, which wasn't a great film, but he was decent in that. I'd not seen him in anything that I can really recall.
You did see The Raven, did you?
I did see the way. Oh yes, no, yeah. No, he's actually really in that. So yeah, I can see it. I think he might be actually pretty good. I didn't connect that was him.
Yeah,
and the only thing I can think of that he's in Fast and Furious 6 this month. So we'll see him in that. We'll see how he can play someone very dark in that.
Well, if you stick around at the end of the DVD and Blu-ray section of the show, you'll actually hear a clip from Fast and Furious 6 with him in it. So that's just a nice...
With him in it?
Yeah, him in it.
Yeah.
Him in it. Damn me and my Macam tongue. Marvel Studio head honcho Kevin Feige has confirmed that both Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista are in Guardians of the Galaxy and that they will play Gamora and Drax respectively. Feige told Entertainment Weekly that audience will respond to an alien Zoe Saldana. He added, "One of the reasons Bautista got the part was because his banter and ad-libs and screen test with Chris Pratt were awesome."
I don't know. He's a wrestler, so we'll see how that turns out, I guess. Until we actually see the first footage, I'm not going to hold my breath. But, I mean, you know, there are some wrestlers like The Rock who can act, so it may happen. Zoe Saldana dressed up in Alien, where that's not going to be a hard stretch because she was an Avatar. So people can buy her in that. They'll buy her in this. So I don't have a problem with that. I think that'll be interesting.
The Rock can't act if you've seen him in G.I. Joe Retaliation.
I don't think that's part of his problem. So he can act if he's given the right film, but just not in G.I. Joe Retaliation because nobody can act in that, apart from Ray Park, who doesn't have any dialogue.
Maybe. And final piece of news, The Wrap are reporting that actor Michael B. Jordan is favoured to play the Human Torch in Josh Trank's reboot of the Fantastic Four. Both Trank and Jordan have worked together before on Chronicle, where Jordan played Steve, the jock of the group. If true, then it'll be the first time a black person has played the character, as Chris Evans played the Human Torch in the previous two films.
This has been a bit of a big talking point amongst the fans. I don't have a problem with this. As long as the actor is good, then I don't see colour being a problem. Because a lot of the characters in the comics are from the era of... Some of them started back as early as, like, the 1920s and 30s. And so it's things that haven't been updated. Nick Fury was changed in the comics to look like Samuel L. Jackson from originally looking as a white actor, a white character. You had in Daredevil, you had the Kingpin played by
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, the late Michael Clark Duncan, who played him brilliantly. I thought I'm one of the few people who liked Daredevil, the film, and I thought he was very good in it. And the reason they did that is because they hired a wrestler to do it who couldn't act, so they found someone who could, and that's how they did it. And if they have to if they have to compromise like that to get someone who can act the part and do the part well, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Box office top 10. That was your last piece of news, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Box office top 10. We'll go through these then in order of starting at number 10 with Oz the Great and Powerful,
which we've covered constantly over the last few weeks. This is the last time it's in the top 10, definitely, because it only took 70,000 in a very weak week because of one film. So yeah, we've said everything we can about Oz and the Great and Powerful.
Number 9, Love Is All You Need.
A film that stuck around a couple of weeks. No surprise again, because the fact that the top 10 is a bit of a weak week, so we knew that a lot of films would steer around. Love Is All You Need is the Pierce Brosnan film. Centers around a woman who catches her husband in the midst of a relationship with somebody else. She then ends up going to Spain, I think it is, where she strikes up a sort of like friendship with Pierce Brosnan's character, an unlikely friendship. It's a German film, so it's surprised that it's done. It's done not too bad for itself. I think it would have liked to have gotten more than £1 million before it exited the top 10, and the chances of that happening are very slim to zero. But it should give itself a pat on the back for hanging around a couple of weeks in the charts.
Yeah, I still haven't seen this, and I did want to see it, but I just didn't have a chance to get to it. At number 8, a movie I kind of wish I didn't get a chance to see, is Scary Movie 5.
Yeah, I was dragged kicking and screaming to see this. It's horrible. It's just the Scary Movie series stopped being funny after the first one. And the Scary Movie series was responsible for doing these, movies that take the mickey out of other films. It was responsible for doing that, and unfortunately we've got a Haunted House which is out in a couple of weeks' time, which does exactly the same. And we're starting to get another raft of these terrible films, because I thought they would have stopped last year with things like Breaking Wind and all that terrible movie. So yeah,
Number 7,
no more.
Number 7, new entry for The Look of Love.
Yeah, we haven't seen The Look of Love because it didn't get a decent enough release. It got a very, it only showed in key cities. It didn't get released in very many cinemas. This is directed by Michael Winterbottom, and it's normally the case with Michael Winterbottom films. They don't seem to get a wide release than what you expect. It stars Steve Coogan, who and it charters the life of Paul Raymond, who was a pornographer. He chartered pornography in the 70s in the UK, and he became one of Britain's richest man. According to a lot of critics, Steve Coogan seems to play Alan Partridge, but in a sort of like a four kind of role, a carry-on kind of role if you watch Carry On Emmanuel.
It is rated 18 as well, so I don't know if that maybe has something to do with the limited release that this film got. So that might have been something to do with it. At number 6, The Place Beyond the Pines,
which both me and Andy actually really liked. It's very rare that we agree on something. Honestly, it is rare that we agree on a film being really good, and this is really good. Andy had a problem with the fact that the length of the film is a bit too long. I thought it was fine. I didn't get bored with it at all. The acting is fantastic. Both Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper are really good, but I think Bradley Cooper's middle story is the weakest out of the three.
It wasn't that I thought it got boring. I just thought that it felt overly long and unnecessarily overlong because of the three stories. It just felt like it did go on for too much. I'm glad to see it's done really well, because it seems to be word of mouth is spreading on it, and that's why it's hung around. It's now been out for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's still in the top 10. It's taken over 2 million, so it's doing well. Number 5 is Evil Dead,
which it's not on a patch with the original Evil Dead. It decides to play the film very straight. It's just a straightforward horror film. A lot of the nasty, gory scenes in the movie you'll have seen in the trailer itself, so avoid the trailer if you've yet to see it before you go to see Evil Dead. It's still a decent enough horror film, and it's nice to see an 18-rated horror film getting shown on the big screen and on a wide release as well, is extremely nasty and gory, but there's no scares in it, and it just loses the feel of the original Evil Dead.
Number 4 is The Croods, which you still haven't seen yet, have you?
Nope.
I don't think you're going to get a chance. I think it's about dropping out now, cinemas. It's been there for that long. But
No, my cinema's got, I think, like 5 showings of it.
Really?
So,
I didn't think it was on that many times now still. I thought it was sort of heading out. But, I mean, it's taken now just under 25 million for a UK cinema film. That's very good. It's a brilliant animation from DreamWorks. Great voice casting, surprisingly, that it's Nicolas Cage, who's not annoying in the role. And Ryan Reynolds is perfectly fine in it too, as well as Emma Stone. It's a K-band family who then have to go and on the run to find safe land after the world is kind of having earthquakes and it's becoming dangerous. I loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was just brilliantly done. I was quite amazed by the animation, which is very good. And it was just a fun film for both adults and kids. And number 3 is Oblivion.
Which, for the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes of the film, I thought was extremely interesting with Tom Cruise and Andrea Riseborough's character. The conversations and relationship that both of them had is the most interesting part of the film. It's visually stunning, and the soundtrack, like we keep going on every single week, is one of the best of this year. It just falls apart slightly and becomes a pastiche of loads of different science fiction films. And I know you might think that that's not a bad thing, but you just spend your time mostly pointing out that this is taken from that specific film than concentrating on the movie itself. That's not to say it's a bad film, because it's not. It is still a good film, but it's from what the first 35 minutes of the movie was promising, it didn't live up to itself.
If I hadn't been here tonight doing the show, I would have actually been seeing this right now, because a friend of mine phoned me about an hour ago and he's saying, I'm going to see Oblivion, do you want to go and see it? And I'm just like, I can't, I'm doing the show. So I was like kind of torn, because I do like it and I really do want to see it again. And it's a shame as well, the IMAX version is amazing. There's so much more visually in it because it's got a bigger image, not just a bigger image, but it's actually got a bigger frame. So you get to see more, and now that it's out of the IMAX, that's going to be lost. But still, go and see it if you can, because I think people enjoy it. And number 2 is Olympus Has Fallen,
which is a complete brain-dead action film, Die Hard in the White House. But it works
in a
if
good
you're
way.
after that. Yeah, it works if you're after that kind of movie. If you're after a movie where you just want to go in, switch off your brain, enjoy an action film for an hour and a half with terrible, terrible special effects, then by all means you'll really enjoy this movie, because I did. I walked out the cinema, I thought, actually it did what it said on the tin. I wasn't expecting anything more than it provided, and I enjoyed it.
Although, do you think there was a bit of sort of a miscasting in some roles in it, like Aaron Eckhart as the president?
Yeah, but they just thought, why not? We'll get him to play the president, and we'll get Morgan Freeman to do the stand-in as a president as well. Because I think every single director now, if they want a president in the movie, needs to look at Morgan Freeman, because he can do that role with his eyes closed.
And so the number 1 film in the UK box office is Iron Man 3.
Which, surprise, surprise. Yeah, I don't think it actually surprised anybody. It took 13 million, 2 million behind the Avengers, so it didn't crack the Avengers total in the UK. But for a standalone movie and kicking off Phase 2 of the Avengers, that's a fantastic take, and considering that Iron Man 2 took around about 7 million in its opening weekend, and Iron Man took around about 5 million in its opening weekend. So progressively, these have getting much more money in. Personally, I'm in the sort of like above average camp of Iron Man. I haven't heard a lot of people say that this movie is like either good to really bad. A lot of people have just said that this film is the best Iron Man. It's absolutely fantastic. But personally, I felt it was a good film, and that's all it is. Shane Black knows how to write dialogue, and he knows how to write characters. He doesn't know how to write action set pieces. That set piece at the Stark Mansion is really well done, but you've seen that in the trailer, and the last 20 minutes is so like muddled. It's really, I think it was really badly handled. I think he just realised he needed a huge, massive action set piece in it. The fact that you see Tony Stark as a character where he has problems and he has flaws is the best thing about the film itself, and apart from the Mandarin, but I'm not going to give much away with the Mandarin, because Ben Kingsley is just a genius in that state. But it's a good film, and that's all I felt it was.
I liked it a lot more than that. I thought it was really well done. I like it more than the other two Iron Man films. Jon Favreau's ones were very bright and cheerful and comedy. This one's very dark and quite, in some ways, a little bit sort of disturbing in some aspects, but not sort of so much that it affects you. But I thought that it was a lot better, and it played well, being that it's the first one after the Avengers as well. Being that you have now Tony Stark back on his own and not part of the Avengers again. So for me, on that aspect, it kind of worked. I really enjoyed it, and I like the action set pieces. I like the fact as well that they tried to get him out of the suit a lot more too. He's not in the suit for all the film or for a lot of it. He's probably only in the suit for maybe a quarter of the film's total running time. So I found that sort of worked a lot more for me.
Yeah, one other thing though, on BBC Radio 5 Live's movie review show, they said that they got a lot of slack for giving away a plot spoiler where it refers to Pepper Potts and the suit itself. When I was listening to that, I was thinking,
it's not though. Marvel showed it.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was just about to say. When I was listening to it, I was thinking, yeah, it's in the trailer, and there is a clip online which shows that. So it's not giving anything away at all.
Yeah, it's Marvel. Marvel actually released it. Marvel wanted that to be out there. Why? I don't know, because it's an idiot mistake, but it's what they did. So it's not really spoiled. Although I don't always try and discuss everything that's in a trailer, because sometimes there's things in a trailer which are plot spoilers, because people that edit trailers can be stupid. Anyway, talking of trailers, let's go on and play an ad for a show, after which we'll come back to go through our first review of the evening.
Hey folks, it's Al the Bald Gamer Dude from Menage a Geek Podcast, and I'm here to ask you, what do you want in a podcast? Is it talking? Is it funny stuff? Is it two guys and a girl having a chat? Is it video game news? Is it movie news? Is it TV stuff? Is it just geek all out your ears and into your brain? If it is, then why are you not listening to us? We're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, we're on Twitter, all Menage a Geek. Menage a Geek. Listen to us.
So, let's get on to our first review of the evening, which is Dead Man Down. It's directed by Niels Arden Oplev, which I hope I pronounced correctly. It's written by J.H. Wyman. It's a thriller which stars Colin Farrell as Victor, who is a man who lives in New York. He works for a sort of a gangster and a group led by Alphonse, played by Terrence Howard. He's going about his sort of normal everyday things. They go to a deal, and things, a gunfight breaks out between them and another group, during which Victor saves Alphonse's life. The two of them sort of have this sort of strange relationship because of the fact that they are dealing in illegal things, and they are sort of they're friends because of that, but not really friends. They're employer and employee, and you have this whole thing as well that Victor is then when he spends all his time in his apartment. He's every now and again he's looking out the window and seeing across in another building, this woman is actually in another flat looking over at him, played by Noomi Rapace, who plays Beatrice, and the two of them have this kind of weird sort of moment between the two of them every now and again where they look over, she waves at him and he waves back, and that's the thing sort of going on as normal between them. He then gets a note from her in his mailbox saying that, hi, this is the woman who waves at you, and how would you like to meet and such. The two of them meet up and sort of start to have this weird sort of relationship between the two of them where they start becoming close friends. She is sort of damaged because she has a scar on her face where it's been rebuilt from surgery after a horrible car accident years earlier. And the whole thing is that she then, when they're out on the date, she reveals something to him which he is kind of surprised and worried about. Here's a clip.
You don't have to play these games, Victor. I know why you really came. You're just being careful. You want to find out if the girl who's been watching you saw what you did. I saw you kill this man. I saw you strangle him. I saw you take him away. Now you're trying to clean up a mess that cannot be cleaned up. think your secret will be safe with me. This is the man who did this to me. I want you to kill him. As you did with the man in your apartment. No! If you don't do it, I'll call the police and tell them what I saw.
So Victor is now stuck with the situation where he's trying to do what he does. He has this secret reason that he's doing certain things as well, and this some things to do with Alphonse and his gang. And you have this whole thing of him then being stuck in this kind of weird, not a love triangle, but a job triangle and difficulty situation that he's in with having to deal with these. The film itself, it's been advertised and it looks like an action thriller. It's not really an action thriller. It is a thriller. It's a very well handled thriller, quite well directed, quite well paced. Has a couple of action sequences in it, but they're not very big and they're not the big centerpieces. They are actually, there's one towards the end as you'd expect, and there's one early on. In the middle of it, there's little bits here and there, but there's not really a big action piece. It's setting up characters, setting up the relations between the people. You have this whole thing of between Victor and Beatrice then have this weird relationship where she is there sort of blackmailing him, but then also the two of them becoming closer. You have this whole thing as well of her mother, who lives in the apartment with her, who is then pops up every now and again and is sort of encouraging her daughter to go back out and live her life, even though she's got this confidence issue because of the scars on her face. You have this whole thing of Victor, who has a past as well. So it's quite well set up. It's not a bad film. It's not a great film. It is an average film. It's the kind of thing you've seen before, but it's not bad. I mean, from start to finish, I was quite enjoying it. I got into it. There was a lot more plotting involved than I was expecting. It's just under 2 hours in length, including the credits, so it's not an overly long film, and I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it. I was expecting it to be a lot less of a film than it was. There's good performances in it. Colin Farrell's good in it. Terrence Howard is not bad in it, although he's not in the film as much as I was expecting. And you've also got in there Dominic Cooper, who plays one of Victor's friends who's in the gang, who is sort of investigating things that may lead him to Victor without realising it. And it's this whole thing of that there's the three threads going on in it, which are quite well interwoven between Victor and the gang doing their thing, and then you have Beatrice and Victor as well. And it's actually quite an enjoyable film. I really was surprised that I did enjoy it as much.
I have nothing to say. I have not seen it.
I think it's one. I mean, you'll be doing it when it comes out on DVD, and I think you'll probably find that you won't like it or hate it, but you'll be like, yeah, it was alright. You'll be. I think that will be the opinion of most people. I mean, when I saw it at the cinema, I went with a friend, and it was literally the same thing afterwards. We went in. There was quite a lot of older people in the audience, which we were surprised at, and I mean people in their 50s and 60s, which I wasn't expecting. And afterwards, walked out. And my friend and me looked at each other and we went, "You know what? That was actually all right. I enjoyed it, and that's how it was."
Oh well. Again, I can't comment on it, but we'll wait to see what I think of it when, like you said, it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD. Because that's when I'll be reviewing it.
Yeah.
Right. My turn. 21 and over. From the writers of The Hangover, so you can probably expect what I'm going to think of it already. It's directed by...
Let me just say, warning people, turn your speakers down.
Maybes. It's directed by John Lucas and Scott Moore, and it centres around three sort of friends. They were really good friends, but they've split off. Specifically, there is Miller, who's played by Miles Teller, and Casey, who's played by Skylar Aston. They are going to meet up with their other friend, Jeff Chang. He's always referred to as Jeff Chang in the film itself, played by Justin Chon. And it's his 21st birthday. He's just turned 21. They want to take him out to obviously celebrate his 21st birthday. However, Jeff Chang's father has decided to say nope, because he's got a really important interview the next morning. His father wants him to become a doctor. It's in his family's line. So Jeff Chang, he does then end off relenting, saying, yeah, okay, then I'll go out for a drink, as long as you get me back for a nice normal time of 11:30. So for the first 10-15 minutes of the film, they've gone into a bar and Jeff Chang's having a few drinks, etc. Casey meets up with a girl called Nicola, played by Sarah Wrighton. Here's a clip.
Whose idea was it to throw Jeff off the roof?
Casey. It's Casey's idea.
Wow. I was all wrong about you. Had you pegged for a real straight arrow.
Oh, no, he is. He went to space camp.
Thanks, man.
Straight arrow.
Yeah, I have a bit of a wild side.
Oh, yeah?
Sometimes, after eating, jump right into the pool. I don't even wait 20 minutes.
Renegade.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah.
Sometimes at night, I don't even wear my mouth guard.
Oh, my God.
And I'm supposed to. That's recommended.
You're funny.
Thanks.
What are you guys doing? Okay, look, I go to the window to check out for our safety, and I come back, it's all bananas and pajamas. Let's get serious. Do you know where Jeff Chang lives?
You know what? I'm going to a party on that side of campus. I can just take you guys over there.
Great.
Okay, look, no, guys, we can't just run out of here.
I have a car.
She's a car.
Nice, a little bit of a road trip. We're on a mission.
So, evidently, it doesn't all turn out to plan. Jeff Chang has managed to get himself completely obliterated, and they need to find out where he lives to get him home in time. Yeah, you can probably guess that's not going to happen, and that's when the hilarity, I'm doing huge, massive air quotes with my entire arms here, ensues, because you've got things that involve them going through a tower of different challenges where they've got to collect beads to try and find out his address. They end up breaking into a sorority house, thinking that it belongs to, that Nicole is a part of the sorority house, and they make two girls do things against their will, and obviously the sorority house is hunting them down. Jeff Chang's father realises that Jeff Chang's not back at home, so he's trying to hunt the lads down as well. There is a buffalo that's involved when they tried to find out the campus guy, the main campus guy who's got the addresses of everybody on the campus to try and find out Jeff Chang where he lives, and they discover that some of Jeff Chang's secrets, the fact that he might not be the clean-cut person that he is, and it's from the writers of The Hangover, and The Hangover has been responsible for a lot of these below par to absolutely horrendous comedy movies. A lot of these movies, like Project X and things like that, have somebody who's been involved with The Hangover, whether it be in a production role, a direction role, or a writer role. And The Hangover, in my opinion, is not a funny series at all. I didn't laugh at the first one. I thought the second one was beyond atrocious. And a lot of these films that copy The Hangover are exactly like that. 21 and Over is one of these movies where it belongs at the bottom of a bargain bin because it's such a throwaway film. There isn't any jokes funny in it at all. There's the trailer that came out, and in the trailer, Jeff Chang gets a teddy bear glued to his private area and ripped off, and you've got the joke that he's been circumcised. That's the funniest joke in the film, and it's in the trailer. None of the film itself made me smile. It didn't even make me smirk. If I smirked, it's probably because I'm having a stroke or something, because I just wanted to get away from this movie. It's terrible. It's beyond terrible. It's not one of those movies where you think, why don't we go to the cinema on a Friday night? We've had a few beers. We'll watch a comedy movie. We might have a few laughs, etc. Yeah, if you do that, you'll probably come out of it and thinking, yeah, I'm never drinking again. I'm never deciding to go to the cinema ever again, because it's just, I don't want to see movies like this. These kind of films get a higher standing in the cinema than movies that really deserve them. If you're thinking a lot of films that you wanted to see in the cinema that hasn't getting a decent distribution, it's down to these kind of movies taking up the screens. I don't blame the cinema themselves, partially I do, but these movies, because they're being made, these take up the screen time of movies that deserve to be seen. Not these stupid films that should go direct to DVD rather than taking up the screen time. It's terrible. It's a terrible film.
Well, I went and saw this as well, and think of what you will, but you know, I kind of didn't mind it. I didn't hate it like you did. I didn't really love it. I'm one of the people who I enjoyed the first Hangover film. I hate the second one. Despise the second one. It's just lazy, horrible, awful film. But this I found I didn't love it, like I said, but I was okay with it. I liked that it didn't have a lot of the gross out humor that was in a lot of films. It had that one joke which was kind of borderline gross out, and moments in it which were kind of there. But I thought there was something to it that it was like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. It's all right. I don't think it's not I really have to pay attention and enjoy it. There were some bits in it that I laughed. The audience laughed. That I was in fairly well sold out cinema, and it was for me. I thought, I'm enjoying it. I laughed. Don't know that I laughed the required number of times for it to be a really good laugh film, but I thought, it was okay. I was surprised again this week that this film was okay with me. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Just borderline okay.
Yeah, please say that you've actually walked into a door and you've getting some brain tumor or brain damage or something like that, because I can't find anything in the film that can bring a smirk to somebody's face.
There's loads of things in it that really bugged me. Things like the whole thing of Jeff Chang. That really did bug me. And the whole thing of one of the characters who wants to basically sleep with everyone's sister, and seems to have sort of slurs for every type of racial stereotype. But aside from that, his character was one of the more annoying things. But I didn't have that much of a problem with it as I was expecting to. I went into it with a lot more preconceived problems than I found when finally watching it. So I don't know if that was it, that I went in just expecting it to be low, but I was surprised that I enjoyed it as much.
Yeah, for me, if you see anything written by the people from The Hangover, you should have alarm bells in your head, because then it gives you a realisation of what you're about to expect.
So you're not going to be reviewing The Hangover Part 3 later this year,
Oh,
then?
bloody God, no. I'm seeing Epic that week, so you're reviewing The Hangover 3.
Okay, that's fine by me. That's it for the cinema section of the show. Coming up in the DVD section part, we'll have some other movies that are out on DVD and the list of the DVD and Blu-ray top 10. So stick around for that. We'll be back in just a moment.